Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of a dense forest, stood a house shrouded in mystery and terror. It was known as the House of Silent Screams. The locals whispered tales of its dark past, warning anyone who dared to approach its crumbling facade. Legend has it that the house was once owned by a wealthy family who vanished without a trace one stormy night. Since then, the house has remained uninhabited except by whispers of the souls trapped within its walls. On a moonless night, a group of adventurous teenagers, drawn by the allure of the unknown, decided to explore the House of Silent Screams. Sarah, the fearless leader of the group, led her friends through the overgrown path that led to the ominous house. As they stepped inside, an eerie silence enveloped them, broken only by the sound of their own footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The air was thick with dust, and the walls seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy. They ventured deeper into the house, guided only by the dim light of their flashlights. Each room they entered held its own secrets, whispers of the past that sent shivers down their spines. In one room, they found old photographs scattered across the floor, frozen moments of a family long gone. In another, they stumble upon a dusty library filled with forgotten books. Their pages filled with tales of horror and despair, but it was the basement that held the darkest secret of all. As they descended the creaky stairs, the temperature dropped, and a feeling of dread washed over them. In the dim light, they saw chains hanging from the walls and rusty tools scattered across the floor. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. Sending the group into a frenzy, they turned to flee, but the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them in the darkness. With nowhere to run, they huddled together, their hearts pounding in their chests. And then they heard it, the sound of whispers all around them, voices pleading for release from their eternal torment. Terrified, they searched for a way out, their screams drowned out by the cries of the trapped souls. Hours passed like eternity until finally, with the first light of dawn, the door creaked open, and they stumbled out into the safety of the forest. The House of Silent Screams stood silent once more, its secrets buried within its walls. But for those who dared to enter its halls, the echoes of terror would forever haunt their dreams. The group emerged from the House of Silent Screams, shaken and pale, their minds scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. They stumbled back through the forest, vowing never to speak of their order again. But the House of Silent Screams wasn't done with them yet. Night after night, they were plagued by nightmares, visions of twisted faces and echoing screams. They tried to convince themselves it was just their imagination, but deep down, they knew the truth. As weeks turned into months, the nightmares grew worse, consuming their every thought. They became shadows of their former selves, haunted by the memories of that fateful night. Desperate for answers, Sarah returns to the house alone, determined to uncover the truth behind its dark secrets. But as she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her, trapping her once more within its walls. With each passing moment, the house seemed to come alive, its walls closing in around her. She screamed for help, but her cries were drowned out by the echoes of the past. As the darkness consumed her, Sarah realized the true nature of the House of Silent Screams. It wasn't just a house, it was a prison for lost souls condemned to suffer for eternity. And as Sarah's screams joined the chorus of voices trapped within its walls, the House of Silent Screams claimed another victim, its hunger for suffering never ending. Days turned into weeks, and the disappearance of Sarah and her friends became a mystery that gripped the small town. Rumors spread like wildfire, and whispers of the cursed House of Silent Screams echoed through the streets. Despite the warnings, some dared to venture into the forest, drawn by morbid curiosity or the promise of unraveling the truth. But none returned, adding to the legend of the house and the fate that awaited those who dared to enter. Among those who heard of the disappearances was Emily, Sarah's younger sister. Consumed by grief and a burning desire for answers, she vowed to uncover the truth behind her sister's fate. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, Emily sets out into the forest, her determination unwavering. With each step, the air grew colder, and the trees seemed to whisper warnings of danger. As she reached the clearing where the House of Silent Screams stood, Emily's heart pounded in her chest. The sight of the dilapidated house sent shivers down her spine, but she refused to turn back. With a deep breath, Emily stepped inside, the door creaking ominously behind her. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the darkness seemed to swallow her whole. Guided by the faint glow of her flashlight, Emily explored the house, searching for any sign of her sister. She moved through the halls with caution, her senses on high alert. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper, barely audible above the sound of her own heartbeat. Following the sound, Emily found herself in the basement, the same place where her sister had vanished. There, In the dim light, she saw the outlines of figures chained to the walls, their faces contorted in agony. Among them was Sarah, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and relief at the sight of her sister. With trembling hands, Emily freed her sister and the other trapped souls, their cries of gratitude echoing through the darkness. Together, they fled the house of silent screams, leaving behind the horrors that had plagued them for so long. As they emerged into the light of day, Emily knew that their order was finally over. The House of Silent Screams has been defeated, its grip on their lives broken forever. But as they walked away, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the house still watched them, its hunger for suffering still lurking in the shadows. And she vowed to never forget the horrors they had endured. Let them be drawn back into its clutches once more.